Imagine you spend months planning and building the most incredible treehouse in the world. You measure the wood, put up the ladders, and install the windows, creating a complex hideout tucked high away in the branches. When the big grand opening finally arrives, who deserves the applause? Do we give a trophy to the wooden planks and the nails, or do we celebrate the architect who actually designed and built the structure? The book of Hebrews in the New Testament uses this logic to talk about two important figures. First, it mentions Moses. Moses is described as an incredibly faithful servant who took care of everything inside God's house a long time ago. But then the text contrasts Moses with Jesus. We have Moses on the inside, doing the hard work of a servant. But outside and above the house, we see Jesus, the one who actually designed and built the entire thing. Just like our treehouse, the builder receives more honor than the house itself. Because Jesus is the builder of everything, his honor meter fills right to the top, placing him in a position of much higher honor than Moses. Because of this, the writer tells us to fix our thoughts on Jesus. He is our representative who speaks to God on our behalf, and he remained perfectly faithful to the one who appointed him to this role. Seeing Jesus as both the Creator and the Son gives us a concrete reason to trust his leadership over anyone else's. So what exactly is this house we are talking about? If we look at this glowing blueprint, we see something surprising. The walls aren't made of bricks or wood. The lines are made of people holding hands. We, the community of believers, are God's house. There is a requirement for being part of this living structure. The text says we belong to this house if we hold firmly to our confidence and the hope we find in God. To help us do this, Hebrews introduces a specific open window of time simply called today. It's an active opportunity to listen to God's voice right now, before our attitudes have a chance to shift. Being God's house is an active identity that relies on our daily choice to keep trusting him. To explain what happens when we stop trusting, the text looks backward. It tells the story of the ancient ancestors who left Egypt and wandered through a massive, scorching desert for 40 years. For 4 whole decades, these travelers saw God provide miracles for them, yet they still engaged in a rebellion, repeatedly refusing to trust his ways. The writer describes their attitude as having a hard heart. On the left, a soft sponge easily absorbs water. On the right, water just bounces harmlessly off a stubborn rock. Nothing gets inside. That rock represents unbelief. Because their hearts were entirely closed off, God declared they would never enter his rest, the peaceful destination he had prepared for them. Their bodies ultimately perished in that desert because their hearts turned away from the living God. This historical record connects directly to us today. Unbelief acts as a solid barrier. It stops us from experiencing the peace God has waiting for us. Hebrews chapter 3 provides a specific tool to keep our hearts from turning into stone. The instruction is clear. We must encourage one another daily, as long as it is still called today. Think about how encouragement works. It acts like cold, clear water pouring onto a dry, crusty sponge, softening the rough edges to absorb life again. We need this daily water to combat what the text calls sin's deceitfulness. These are the subtle lies and tricks that try to convince us that ignoring God's directions is a good idea. This diagram shows how we fight back. When you cheer for a friend or remind them of God's promises, your words actively intervene. Encouragement stops those lies from hardening their heart, turning a stubborn rock back into a receptive sponge. The text reminds us that we share in Christ only if we hold on to our original conviction firmly until the very end. Your challenge is to find just one person to encourage today. By speaking up, you help ensure that together, our living house stays strong, soft-hearted, and faithful to the Master Builder.